Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. J'ai maintenant le grand plaisir de passer la parole à notre colonel commandant, le brigadier général à la retraite, Selbie, qui n'a besoin d'aucune introduction. I had the honor of being the staff officer for our Colonel Commandant a few years ago, and he's since graciously agreed to remain on as the Colonel Commandant. And for those who aren't aware, he was recently presented with the rare third clasp on the CD by the Army Commander, which is only earned after 42 years of loyal and dedicated service in the CAF. So a tremendous achievement that very few people have attained, and it was great to see. Sir, thanks for being here with us today. Over to you.
Well, un grand merci à vous aussi, John, and fellow gunners, friends of the regiment, chers collègues artilleurs et les amis du régiment. Bon après-midi, bonjour. Je suis très honoré ce matin de vous présenter ici la 136e Assemblée générale annuelle de l'Association de l'artillerie royale canadienne. Now, traditionally, I've commenced my report in past years with a summary of my activities over the year for the purpose of offering an insight to the role of Colonel Commandant and recording certain events in the life of the regiment. Better this year, I think, to submit that information secretarially, for it has been an exceptional year during which we've been required by the exigencies of the COVID-19 pandemic to depart from long established norms, to face challenges and to undertake tasks few amongst us would have previously contemplated. Yet, by dint of discipline, mutual support, and innovation, we have and will continue to prevail and carry on. Now, I would say that today's gathering is an example of that spirit. For 6 years now, we have sought to exploit our AGM as an opportunity to align our thinking as a regiment with the tenets of our family strategy and its aim of fostering a credible, relevant, cohesive, and valued Royal Regiment of Canadian Artillery. Our method has been to combine the AGM with the so-called RCA board in a 2-day physical gathering in Ottawa with limited participation of remote representatives, typically of senior rank, enabled by conventional conference room to conference room video telecommunications links. While each year has seen significant progress, we have still to achieve the full effect to which we have aspired. Now, mindful of the dictum that necessity is the mother of invention, I sense that this year we have achieved a breakthrough. With large physical gatherings off the table, we've been forced to embrace the virtual. And with the help of Zoom and Baldwin AV services here in Ottawa, so we have, with the result that in contrast with past attendance of perhaps several dozen members, today we have at last count 394 registrants. And what is more, a substantial portion of that number are non-commissioned or junior officers. Of course, attendance is only merited by worthy content. And so I commend the Director of Artillery and the Association Executive for their close collaboration, their impressive imagination, and their unstinting hard labor over many weeks to design and implement a streamlined AGM agenda interwoven with a symposium theme leading in the 21st century of unsurpassed topicality and relevance. And could we ask for better speakers? I think not. The commander of the land forces of a brave and resourceful ally on NATO's front line. Our senior serving gunner, a truly gifted and inspirational leader, and the first of our regiment to fill the appointment of Vice Chief of the Defense Staff. The Command Sergeant Major of a formation assigned only the most exacting and daunting of tasks. The Commandant of the Canadian Army Staff, the Canadian Army Command and Staff College, one of Canada's foremost military thinkers. The Director of an essential emergency service meeting the ambulance needs of over 500,000 people, 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. And finally, the Director of a company charged with the operation and maintenance of one of the country's most critical supply chains. Each of them, here and now, are successfully engaging leadership challenges unimagined only a few months ago. And so, gentlemen, I would say that we're very, very grateful for your presence today and your willingness to share your insights. Now, turning to the AGM and its agenda. I ask you, each of whom is a member of the association by virtue of your status as a serving member of the regiment, or as a result of your decision in retirement or upon affiliation with the regiment to join it, I ask you to pay close attention to every item whereby you will detect the dedicated and extensive work of a group of men and women whose only motivation and desire is to promote the effectiveness and well-being of the Royal Regiment. As Colonel Commandant, I'm proud of and indebted to each of them, as indeed should be we all. Today is the last opportunity I will have to speak to so large a gathering of the regimental family before we begin our commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the formation of A and B batteries of Garrison Artillery and Schools of Gunnery. I deliberately used the titles from 1871, for it is important to understand that although today's A and B batteries are the direct descendants of those units, UBEAC 150 should not be considered solely an RCHA or regular force celebration. Remember that aside from Lieutenant Colonel Strange and French, and a nucleus of Royal Artillery warrant officers and sergeants who chose to stay on in Canada when the British garrisons were withdrawn, the officers and men who filled the ranks of the batteries to man the fortifications at Quebec and Kingston were drawn exclusively from the active militia artillery batteries of Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes, serving at the outset on a year-long engagement. They were very much total force units, Canada's first post-Confederation full-time soldiers, and their impact was profound. As distinguished Canadian historian George F.G. Stanley states, the Royal Schools of Gunnery at Quebec and Kingston, within a few years, provided the militia artillery with a legion of well-trained NCOs and gunners, which it had never before possessed. Owing to this, perhaps more than to anything else, the artillery established itself as the most efficient branch of the Canadian militia service and acquired a pride in itself, which it has never ceased to possess. I hope that you will agree with this achievement, to which may be added the accomplishments and contributions of the past 150 years, is a record we can all celebrate. The UBEAC 150 operation order, developed by the regimental colonel and his team, is available on the RCA website, and more detail will be advertised shortly as our communications plan is executed. I would encourage you all to look at the events which are planned with a view to getting involved, or at least, or perhaps considering organizing local events within your home units. And here I'll just depart from my text for a moment to relate some information I received last night from Philip Sherwin of 5th British Columbia Field Regiment. And that regiment, to mark the occasion of our 150th, has the prospect in mind of scaling the second highest peak on Vancouver Island, which is called Elkhorn Mountain. And that peak was conquered for the first time way back in 1912 by a climbing team, which was composed primarily of gunners from the Victoria and the Esquimalt garrison. And so it's also my understanding that that peak is about a meter less in height than the recognized highest peak on Vancouver Island, the Golden Hind. And it may well be the case that when those gunners make it to the top of that mountain, they may gather a few of the rocks and stones in the immediate vicinity, erect a cairn of about a meter in height, and put on top of that an RCA camp flag. And wouldn't that be a great thing if we could then claim to have climbed the highest peak on Vancouver Island? Well, in closing, I'd like to quote a statement made several years ago by a non-gunner, but friend of the regiment by the name of Mike Kennedy. Mike wrote, "For thousands of Canadians from every region of the country and from all walks of life, service in the artillery has been a defining moment in their lives. It has been a transformative experience, which has exposed them to outstanding leaders and role models, and one that has inured within individual gunners a set of core values that have served as a moral compass throughout the remainder of their lives. It has been an experience that has helped many gunners to develop valuable life skills that have enabled them to become more responsible and productive citizens, and at the same time, one that has given them a sense of pride, identity, and belonging that they could never have found anywhere else. In their lives after the artillery, many Canadian gunners have gone on to achieve noteworthy success in other fields of endeavor. Through these efforts, gunners have made many valuable contributions to Canadian society and have played an important role in helping to shape the future of the nation. Now, from time to time, I'm told that some members of our regiment, when asked to volunteer, when asked to donate, when asked to do a little extra, hold to the philosophy of WIFM, W-I-I-I-F-M, or what is in it for me? Well, I think that Mike Kennedy provides a good answer to that question, where we live, and I would say also that we live in unsettling times. The rising influence, rather, of totalitarian states, the increasingly apparent effects of climate change, the uncertain applications of artificial intelligence, growing income disparity, ever more acute political partisanship, and the erosion of social cohesion. These are converging concerns which we all share. Yet, at heart, I'm an optimist, and I believe that just as we are with COVID-19, we will adapt and overcome. An aspect of that adaptation, I believe, will be to continue to maintain and to put to good use this institution, this regiment, this family of ours, and others like it, to bring Canadians together and to help increase the social capital of the nation. And so I ask you to do your bit to help strengthen the moral component of our military capability by strengthening our regimental family at the unit, regional, and national level by saying yes, yes, I will, the next time you're asked to volunteer, to donate, or to do just a little bit extra for the sake of our regiment. Well, it's been a challenging year for the Royal Regiment of Canadian Artillery. Still, at every turn of my travels, I'm heartened by the talent, application, pride, and goodwill embodied by those who wear our cap badge. It remains a profound honor to serve you, and I look forward to continuing to advance with you. Ubique, go fast et gloria ducent. Thank you. Merci bien.
Merci beaucoup, Colonel Commandant, pour votre sagesse et votre message inspirant.